Yeah. Blackjack. Life is like a game of cards. It's not what you dealt, but how you play it. To play each situation correctly. I remember they used to laugh at a brother.
Welcome back, guys. Welcome back. It's your boy DELRAY Richardson, platinum artist, platinum songwriter, Straight Game TV. Thank you for hitting the play button. Hit the subscribe button, the bell notification, and also the thumbs up is always welcome as it helps the channel get out there more. I'm going to get straight into it. The question today comes from a brother from Southeast Washington, D.C., and he asked me to put emphasis on that. Yes, Southeast Washington, D.C. What up, D.C.? And the question is, was Tupac the biggest help to Biggie's career early on in helping him gain notoriety, publicity, and exposure, minus him not writing Biggie's rhymes? And I'm going to have to say the answer to that question is absolutely, positively yes. And so what I'm going to give you today is something that I think nobody's ever given you. A lot of people have, their different views and opinions on this matter, but I'm going to tell you here today, if it wasn't for Tupac Shakur, we probably wouldn't know who the Notorious B.I.G. was early on in his career. And I'm going to show you the response to the crowd when Tupac actually stopped his show and let Biggie perform, and Tupac actually trying to get the crowd to get into who Biggie was and what he was doing on stage. But first, I want to give you this. As most people might have heard, in 1993, I was at Bowie State University for their homecoming. And I witnessed it with my own eyes. Like I said, I went over this before, but I'm doing it for the people straight on view, straight on camera. When you talk about helping somebody's career, as I spoke in the Jay-Z video, most people don't understand, once again, that Tupac mentioning Jay-Z's name in the song Bomb First at the beginning of the Don Illuminati album, the Machiavelli album, was pivotal for Jay-Z's career. Like I said, most people don't understand Tupac had just came off of doing 5 million records with All Eyes on Me, and then he had got shot in Vegas and murdered. And like I said, when they put out Machiavelli, everybody was anticipating on getting this album, and they got it. So like I said, once again, Tupac's diss became a blessing to Jay-Z. But so the brother from Southeast Washington, D.C., watching that video also asked me about the situation in which Tupac actually spoke on. Check it out.
I possess his soul, his and Puffy. They know that I was the truest nigga involved with Biggie's success. I was the biggest help. I was the truest nigga. I don't write his rhymes, but he know how much he borrowed from me. He know how I used to stop my shows and let him touch the show. Let him blow up and do his whole show in the middle of my show. How I used to buy him shit and give him shit and never ask for it back. How I used to share. How I used to share my experiences in the game and my lessons and my rules and my knowledge on the game with him. You know what I mean? He owed me more. He owed me more than to turn his head and act like he didn't know niggas was about to blow my fucking head off.
I was there at Bowie State University. Like I said, that's where I was introduced to Tupac. My homegirl introduced me to Tupac as she was having I would say a little like relationship with him, if you will. And so she introduced me to him. He was cool. And this was the first time that I met Tupac Shakur at Bowie State University in 1993 at their homecoming. And so on this particular night, it was packed. I mean, you got people from D.C., Maryland, all of the students that go to the school. They're from various parts, some from out of state, and so on and so forth. So like I said, my man Big Butch, he was actually promoting the show. Big Butch was a big promoter. All of the go-go's and DC's, he had things really locked down. And so when I got there, he was kind of like at the door, if you will, watching his money and making sure everything was running smoothly. So I spoke to him like I said, I was a lead singer in a go-go band called Those Boys, and he had booked us like once or twice. And so with that, I'm like, hey Butch, what's happening, man? You know, and he said, hey, you know, we you know, pleasantries, what's happening, what's up? And he said, you noticed me, you know. He was basically letting me know that he was the promoter for that night. And so as the night went on, it was awesome. It was awesome. You had the Lords of the Underground, you had Tupac, and I think it was a couple of other bands, like a couple, I think a go-go band or two. But like I said, when I got there, it was I forgot who was going off, but I think the Lords of the Underground were going off, and Tupac was about to come on. Yeah, that's what it was. So, you know, fabulous night, wonderful night. So what I want to show you is, not only did Tupac say it, but he exemplified what he said in overdoing it. Like, you know, it's one thing to, like, you know, let somebody come up on stage and be your hype man and so on and so forth. But it's another thing to stop a show that you are booked in and you're the headlining act, to let someone else come on and perform their song, right? Which is on the soundtrack, you know, and they just promoting it and so on and so forth. So it's on the soundtrack and you're letting them come on. They're not booked on the show at all. Their name is not on the flyer or none of that, right? And so when this happens, nobody knew who Biggie was. And I tried to reiterate this. Nobody really knew who Biggie was. And so when he came on, it was like, what's going on? It was like a lukewarm reception, if you will, like, hold on, you know, did I pay this? Is this what I paid for? You know? And so everybody was kind of stunned. But as time went on, because nobody really knew the song Party and Bullshit like that, it wasn't really like that. Like I said, once again, you know, if you bought this, I think it was on the soundtrack to a movie. If you bought the soundtrack to the movie, yeah, you might have heard it. But like I said, because of the profanity aspect of it, or what the title of the song was, it wasn't really getting no radio play. So Biggie comes on stage. He has on this blue and white Dallas Cowboy jersey, Troy Aikman's jersey, number 8. And so he, you know, goes about his thing, you know, party, you know, doing, you know, and so on and so forth. But I'm going to show you right now where Tupac actually, you know, was trying to get the people to get into Biggie because they didn't know who he was. Check it out.
What's up, y'all? Make some motherfucking noise for my nigga.
You see what I'm saying? People don't do that nowadays, you know. And so when we get into the fact of why Tupac was so mad and so upset with Biggie, right? When he was in jail and they dropped Who Shot Ya? I'm just going to give you some context here, right? It wasn't that the song, because I don't really think the song was even titled Who Shot Ya? I just think they used that because those were the first couple of words that he said, you know, who shot ya? And so, but when you listen to Puffy doing the hook, it's different than, you know, what that really was. So now, Tupac was mad, not because he thought that Biggie had something to do with it truly, honestly, but that Biggie, he felt like Biggie should do more. But more than that, he was listening to the lyrics and Biggie saying, you know, thou shalt not, you know, mess with or see Poppa. You know, he said it in another way, but I'm popping all of this. And so Tupac was like,
Niggas is just gonna act like I'm gonna just be in jail and they gonna give me shout outs and try to take my position. And if you watch, that's what Biggie did. Listen to us. I was there, nigga. I trained the nigga. He used to be under me like my lieutenant. The nigga, I used to come to New York. I used to do shows and let the nigga come on before I did Keep Your Head Up and Get Around. Because nobody knew the nigga in New York. I remember Biggie sleeping on my couch. I remember begging bitches to fuck him. I'm the one that used to buy him champagne. All that shit he talking, that was me buying him that. He talking about my lifestyle with his album. Because when he was doing his album, he was broke, nigga. I was having money. The shit he talking about was my life. Thug life. That's what he talking about. So now they rapping against me, and you can imagine how I fucking feel. When I got arrested in New York, I got arrested for Biggie. Them guns in my room was Biggie's guns because them cowards left the room when they heard the police was downstairs, and everybody left their guns in my room. So I got 4 guns in my room. Serial numbers scratched out, and I did not snitch. I took that case. So you can imagine how I feel.
You know, so if you take the context of being at Bowie State University, right? Tupac being in jail 95, right? 94, 95, right? And hearing Biggie come out with this record, you would be flabbergasted. You would be beside yourself. Like, hold on. I was taking care of this guy. I had him on the road. I was feeding him. You know what I mean? I was, letting him perform, on my shows, stopping my shows. Like, that's huge for somebody to stop their show, right? And to let you come on and perform your material that people are not really aware of. And here you can also hear, like Tupac said, Biggie yelling out "Thug Life." And I remember this in particular when I was there that night. Check it out.
Thug life, motherfucker! Thug life in the motherfucking house.
So you have to understand the context and why Tupac was so mad. So when you understand that, you'll get it. Most people be like, Tupac was tripping. No, he was feeding these guys. He was, making sure they had money. You know what I mean? Giving them mad love, publicity, letting them open. You know what I mean? Like interrupt his show to let them go on and giving you publicity. Like I said once again, that you couldn't normally even pay for. And you talking about, at that time Tupac was a rising star. Juice already out. You know what I mean? You got somebody who's on the end. And so now, once again, that's why Tupac was so mad. But to answer the question, as you see right now, this is a prime example, not back with just what I'm saying, but what Tupac said, and also what Tupac did while he was on that stage that night in 1993. So yes, Tupac was the biggest help, the biggest catalyst in Biggie's career. You had other people that came along a little bit later and so on and so forth. But yes, all of the game that Tupac gave Biggie, the game about the music industry, what it was about, how to write songs, how to, who to write the songs for, and to help his record sell. You know what I mean? As you heard, with the first album, they did One More Chance, but then they did the One More Chance remix. You know what I mean? With Faith singing on the hook, really making records to cater to women and so on and so forth. So when you understand that, like I said, Biggie was a phenomenal MC. Tupac don't really get no credit for that. But like I said, once again, if you're talking about being able to help someone's career and somebody giving you a leg up, somebody who's in the game, well respected on the actor side as well as being an artist and so on and so forth, yes, Tupac was that guy. And that's why Tupac was so upset with Biggie. Not because he thought Biggie, like he said earlier, and I think Pac kind of overreacted with that, but he was upset, and rightfully so. But that Biggie had something to do with, him being set up and all of that. Yeah, Pac was overreacting with that one. And we know that due to the fact that Tupac's father, Mr. Garland, Billy Garland, actually said that when he was at the hospital and Tupac had met him for the first time after Tupac's mom told him that his father was dead, that Biggie came to the hospital and actually introduced himself to Mr. Garland. And Biggie was concerned. You know what I mean? And so I think when most people say, oh yeah, because of Faith, Tupac messing with Faith and so on and so forth, they don't think that Tupac and Biggie would have squashed their beef. I think they would have, based on the fact of, you can always move past that. You know what I mean? And Biggie was doing his one thing, his 1 and 2 with, like I said, with Charlie Baltimore as well as with Little Kim, and he was out in the open about that. And so, like I said, but yes, that's the thing, as well as the video that we've seen, Tupac and Biggie actually sitting down and freestyling together. You can tell, and by other various pictures and videos and things like that, that they had a great relationship. And so that was the thing that kind of, drove that wedge in between their relationship. So it was more of a misunderstanding, but Tupac just felt like, and where we, as a lot of times, where we, as people, thinking that people are going to do the same for us that we did for them. And when that love and that thing is not returned, that's what creates the friction, because you think that they're gonna reciprocate the love and the hospitality and all of the things, the favors and all of the things in the same way that you did for them. You're thinking they would do it for you, and when you find out that that's not so, it usually creates friction and destroys friendships and relationships. And then came, Tupac under death row, and then, Suge and them taking that and using that as a catalyst to really blow things up, and Tupac really falling in line with that and really riding with that whole East and West Coast thing, if you will. You know what I mean? Basically, using it to sell records. So like I said, to the brother from Southeast Washington, D.C., yes, as you've seen, I just displayed to you, not just with Tupac's words, not just with what I'm saying, but with actual video of what that really was and what that really was like in plain view. Your boy DELRAY, yeah, Tupac was the guy that and instrumental in helping Biggie in his career. Straight gang.